My uncle asked me to be executor of his will, and when I read it, every single item was left to strangers. Uncle Pete was the only family member who actually treated me like a person instead of a disappointment. While my parents constantly reminded me about my grades or my lack of a real career plan, Pete would just ask if I wanted to grab burgers and talk about whatever random stuff was on my mind. When he got sick last year, he pulled me aside during Thanksgiving dinner. "Listen, kiddo," he said, stirring his coffee slowly. "I need someone I trust to handle my affairs when I'm gone. Your cousins are too busy with their fancy jobs, and your parents, well, they mean well." I felt honored that he picked me over everyone else in the family. 3 months later, Pete passed away quietly in his sleep. At the funeral, my aunt kept going on about how Pete had always been so generous with family, how he'd probably left something special for everyone. My cousins were already talking about which pieces of furniture they wanted from his house. The lawyer handed me a sealed envelope with the will inside. I figured I should read it privately first before the official reading with everyone present. I drove to a nearby coffee shop, ordered a black coffee like Pete used to drink, and opened the envelope. The first few items seemed normal enough. His vintage guitar went to someone named Jake Morrison, his coin collection to Maria Santos, his fishing gear to David Kim. I kept reading, thinking maybe family would be mentioned later, but page after page it was all strangers. His house went to Rebecca Williams, his car to Anthony Hayes, even his old toolbox went to someone called Frank Torres. I read the entire thing twice, thinking I missed something. My name wasn't anywhere except as the executor. I felt sick. Had Pete been lying about caring about me? Was this some kind of cruel joke? I called the lawyer to make sure this was the real will. "Yes, this is definitely authentic," he confirmed. Mr. Peterson was very specific about his wishes. The official reading was the next day. I had to sit there watching my family's faces as they realized they weren't getting anything. My aunt started crying. My cousins looked confused and angry. "This has to be wrong," my dad kept saying. "Pete loved this family." But then the lawyer handed me another envelope. "This one is specifically for you, as executor." Inside was a handwritten letter from Pete. "By now you're probably wondering why I left everything to people you don't know," it started. "These aren't random strangers, kiddo. Jake Morrison is the kid who used to mow my lawn for free when his mom couldn't afford to pay him. Maria Santos cleaned my house every week and always stayed to chat when I was lonely. David Kim drove me to every doctor's appointment when I was too proud to ask family for help." The letter continued, explaining each person. Rebecca Williams was his neighbor who brought him soup when he was sick and never asked for anything in return. Anthony Hayes was a young mechanic who fixed Pete's car for parts cost only because he knew Pete was on a fixed income. "These people showed me kindness without expecting anything back," Pete wrote. "They treated me like family when my actual family was too busy to call. I hope this teaches you something about what really matters. You're different from the rest of them, which is why you're reading this letter. Take care of these good people for me." At the bottom was a PS. "Check the safety deposit box. Key is taped under the kitchen junk drawer." I went to Pete's house that afternoon while everyone else was still arguing with the lawyer. Sure enough, there was a key taped exactly where he said. At the bank, the safety deposit box contained $50,000 in cash and another note for my favorite nephew, who never asked me for anything. "Use this to do something that makes you happy, not something that makes your parents proud." I never told my family about the money. They're still bitter about the will, saying Pete lost his mind at the end. But I get it now. Pete spent his last years surrounded by people who genuinely cared about him, not people who just shared his DNA. I used some of the money to help Jake Morrison pay for community college. The rest I'm saving for something Pete would approve of. Probably not what my parents would want, but that's exactly the point.